Section 5 of Chapter 2 is translating words into equations. And we did this in Chapter 1 just with expressions. And so it's really a lot the same thing, except now we're going to add is and equal to. So you should be familiar already with some of the words that mean add. Addition, sum, together. Some of the words that mean subtract, less than, the difference of. Some of the words that mean multiplication, the product of, multiplied by, this many times some number, and the words that mean division would be divided by or divided into or the quotient of. If you're unfamiliar with some of those, you need to go to page 136 and look through and become familiar with some of those terms, because really and truly, once again, it's just a different language. It's taking English and changing it into math language. So here we go. Let's just do some. The only way to get better at it is just to do it. So we're going to look through and we're going to look for the words that we can translate mathematically. So the sum of 25 and a number is 14. So we're going to look at the sum means that you're going to add. So sum means it's an addition problem. Well, the sum of what? You're going to have to add two numbers. So the sum of 25 and a number. Well, they don't tell you what that number is, so that's what your x or your n or your variable, and you can call it whatever you want. I'll call it n for a number. So the sum of 25, so the sum of 25 and a number is, there's your equal sign, is 14. That's all you do. So once you get that, now you actually have to solve it. In this case, because you have an equation, you have an equal sign, so there's a way to find out, well, what does that variable equal? So now you simply do what you would do in any equation. You've got your equation here. This equation, you've got some number added to your unknown, so you're going to subtract that unknown. Oh, wow. You're going to subtract. Boy, I do that sometimes, don't I? You're going to subtract. So the n equals 14, 24, 25, negative 11. So n is negative 11. All right. So the sum of 25 and a number, so the sum of 25 and negative 11 is 14. All right, moving on. 19 less than a number is 7. So there's 19 is your number. Less than, it tells you what you're going to do with the numbers. A number is, well, that's your variable. Is, there's your equal sign, and 7, that's another number. So let's put it together and make it into a math problem. Less than, you know, is going to be subtract. And remember, less than flip-flops. So if it's 19 less than, then the 19 is actually what you're, oh, my goodness. 19 is what you're subtracting. So 19 less than a number, so that's your n, is, there's your equal sign, is 7. And now you solve it. They subtracted, so you have to undo that, so you have to add 19. So n equals 19, 20, 26. Easy sneezy. Okay. 3/4 of a number is negative 5/8. Okay, so 3/4 is actually a number of means times. Did you know that? 3/4 of a number of means times is, and I circled this is not your equal sign. Is your equal sign, and then negative 5/8. So really this is a word for word translation. So 3/4, that's easy. That's just 3/4. Of means you're going to multiply by, of a number, so that's just 3/4. You can just put 3/4 in. You don't even have to have the dot or the times sign. Is your equal sign, negative 5/8. So negative 5/8. So in this case, we've got fractions, and so we're simply going to multiply by the reciprocal to get rid of the fraction in front of the n. So multiply by the reciprocal of 3/4 is 4/3, so that those cancel, and you just have n on this side of the equation. You multiplied by 4/3 on this side, so you've got to multiply by 4/3 on this side. So look for anything that will reduce. 8 is 4 times 2, so you can reduce the 4s and just have 2 left. So when you multiply straight across now, you multiply 5 times 1 is 5. And 2 times 3 is 6. And don't forget you've got a negative sign. So n equals a negative 5, 6. All right. This is really an easy lesson, except it's an easy one to teach. It's maybe hard to catch on because you just have to keep translating and keep translating and keep translating. I've got 2 more for you. These are a little bit tricky. Sometimes you'll have both. So these all dealt with. This one is just addition. This one is just subtraction. This one was just multiplication. Sometimes you'll have more than one operation in an equation, and you've worked equations like that before, but now not only are you going to have to work the equation, but you're going to have to translate it first. So let's look at it and let's do it. 7 less than the product of 4 and a number is equal to negative 5. You can do this. So don't get overwhelmed with all the words. Go one by one and look, well, 7, that's easy. That's just the number 7. Okay, so you write down 7. 7 less than, well, 7 less than means you're going to subtract, but remember it means that the subtract is in front, okay? 7 less than the product means you're going to multiply something. 7 less than the product of 4 and a number. So the product of 4 and a number is 4 times a number, so 4n. So we've got 7 less than the product of 4 and a number. So here's our 7 less than. The product of 4 and a number we said looks like this. So 7 less than the 4n is equal to, there's your equal sign, is equal to negative 5. So it's a lot of words, but you have to just stop and step back and slow down. And once you've gotten something translated, even you can mark it off so that you don't go back and relook at something and get confused by it. The product of 4 and a number is where you're multiplying here. 7 less than is here is equal to negative 5. And now we just solve it. So we're going to add 7 to both sides. So 4n equals 2. Divide by 4. So n equals 1/2. All right. So in all honesty, you know how to solve now. So the trickiest part is the translating. I'm going to do one more here. This one is a little bit trickier still. Sometimes in your translating, you actually need to use parentheses to set apart either a multiplication problem within the problem or an addition or subtraction problem that you're going to multiply the whole thing by something else. Let me show you what I mean. 2/3 of the difference of 6 and a number is the same as the number divided by 4. Whew! Okay. 2/3 is easy. So there's 2/3. 2/3 of means you're going to multiply. You're going to multiply by something. 2/3 of the difference. So you're going to multiply by a difference. So a difference means you've got 2 other numbers involved here. You're going to multiply by a difference. So you're going to multiply by a difference of 2 numbers. Let's find out what 2 numbers. 2/3 of the difference of 6 and a number. So 2/3 of the difference of 6 and a number is the same as, there's your equal sign, is the same as the number divided by 4. The number, that simply means you're going to use the same variable that you used before. You've got the same number in here twice. The number divided by 4. All right? So now you have a parentheses involved, so you got to get the parentheses out of there. You can do this one of 2 ways. You can either bring this 2/3 through the parentheses first. What I would do in this case is, remember with fractions, if you've got a fraction involved, you can get rid of the fractions by multiplying your entire equation by the least common denominator. So what we have here is we've got these 2 things multiplied and we've got this. So if we multiply this entire thing by the denominator, or by the least common denominator, which is 12. When we reduce it here, that multiplies through everything, so we don't have to reduce anything here. So we've multiplied it through, so now this becomes 2 times 4, now it becomes 8 times the quantity of 6 minus n. And now we have to multiply by that 12 on the other side of the equation. So that reduces down to just 3n. And so now this is an equation that's simple. You've got to multiply your 8 through. So to get 48 minus 8n equals 3n. To keep your n's positive, I would move the 8n. So add 8n to both sides. So 48 equals 8, 9, 10, 11n. And to get your n by yourself, you're going to divide both sides by the 11. And so now in this case, the 48 over 11 isn't going to reduce, so you can just have n equals 48 over 11 is your final answer. All right? So learn the words that can translate as numbers and as operations, and make sure you slow down and read, especially when they get longer. Slow down and look at each part. Is the same as, so find your equal sign. If you've got an of, you're going to multiply. Make sure that if you've got a difference of something within there, you've got parentheses, all sorts of crazy things to look at and think about and do. Go ahead and do some of those your turn activities throughout the lesson. They've got the answers right there in your book, so you can practice some and make sure that you're getting them and you're understanding what you're doing. And I'll see you next time.